Here we go. Hey everybody, welcome to Sage and Seer Chats, and today I'm so thrilled to have a great friend of mine, Joseph Moon, who is also here in Ireland. One second. Something has just taken over my throat.
I don't know why I'm so thirsty today as well. I think it's both of us.
And we're live. So if you're new to Sage and Seer Chats, then I'm Janie Lavelle, and I'm a homeopath and holistic healer based in County Sligo in Ireland. I'm originally from New Zealand, and during this past year I've met and had the privilege to work with so many other amazing healers, and Joseph being one of them. And we've only met recently through a very dear friend of ours, JCK, and Joseph and I had an instant connection with each other, and we got chatting on Telegram one day, and Joseph asked me if I would help do some healing work on his auntie, who was very sick at the time. And so with that, then we began our journey, I suppose, together, and I decided to offer Joseph some healing as well. And Joseph is a psychic medium and a tarot card reader, and he's very established in the field that he's doing at the moment. And it's just such an awesome opportunity to get to interview you, because we've only known each other for such a short time, so I don't even know Joseph's full story. We had this instant connection, like I said, and we've just bonded over our mutual love of kind of everything that we're both involved in. And we've got some really special news to tell you guys all about, some work that we're going to be going into. But first of all, welcome, Joseph. We'll get you to introduce yourself, and it's just awesome to have you here today. Thanks very much for joining us.
You're so welcome. I'm so excited. Hello, everybody. I am really excited because Janie had helped me at the right time when it's kind of divine how it all worked. I asked God, I need help. I need someone to just come into my life that can kind of help guide me through all of what was happening with my auntie at the time. And Janie just fell into, it's kind of funny how God just pushes people at the right time. And yeah, Janie came in, and being a medium, I can kind of go into that in between space. And I had a lot of things coming up with that, and kind of made me a little bit nervous because I thought that I was messing with fate and things like that. And Janie really helped calm me down and explained a lot of how souls work and stuff. And I know a lot myself, but when you're in my kind of line of work, and it's sometimes hard to explain things that come to me, and I don't know sometimes what I'm supposed to do with it. So yeah, Janie had really helped me, and I'm so grateful for that. And ever since then, I just have been just on a whole journey. I still have my glass. I'll introduce myself properly in a second, but you sent me these, and Janie, they have opened me up to past lives. They've opened me up to future lives. They've opened me to everything. And maybe we'll talk about the major is it the major altar?
Major altar, yes. Yeah. Oh, definitely. I think actually that the conversation that we had was amazing, because actually everything that I was talking to you about, you already knew. It was just that the way that I explained it to you, and packaged it, helped you to understand what was going on. And that's why I actually made Joseph a particular energy frequency and posted it up to him, and asked him to take it intuitively, and he would know when to do it. And Joseph, for those of you that don't know, does a lot of work with the Fae, and he's very, very connected to nature, and he often works with Mapacho, who is the spirit of tobacco, natural tobacco, of course. And when we were connecting, I guess the message that I got was really also very divinely guided for what he needed. And so based on that, I made him a resonance, particularly for what he needed at this time, and it had a really positive impact.
And I have
Yeah.
I have one of those just sitting there left for you know when. So
Yeah.
I'll take it on that day, just because I feel like it really, I literally can feel like I open up to everything once I intuitively find the right time to take it. But yeah, so a little bit about me. I started going down a lot of dark rabbit holes around the age of like, I was always psychic.
Yeah.
But when I hit puberty, my sexuality confused me. All of these labels confused me. Life just really,
Yeah.
I'm the type of person that if you try and put me in a box, I won't even let you close the lid. I'll bust.
Yeah.
I'll not even be. So
Oh.
I struggled with a lot of things in society for a long time, and I just didn't like labels. I didn't like why we had to go to church. Why did we have to do these things? Like, I just was like, why can't I just do what I want to do? And then around my teenage years, I got really like self-conscious. I just didn't really like myself, and I completely lost that part of my psychicness, let's say, and I just kind of closed it off and was like, fell into like a deep kind of depression for most of
Yeah.
my teenage life, to be honest.
Yeah.
And around 15, I started to get intense, like dark visions of the future if we don't change the way we are. And I was blaming kind of the external world as well,
Yeah.
for a long time, until eventually I had a few near-death experiences, and one of them was like the actual flip of everything for me. I had taken some drugs that were a mix of things that shouldn't have been mixed, and I was a typical lost soul for a while,
Yeah.
who was into drugs and into alcohol and everything I could try. I was just trying it because I didn't really care about anything. And um yeah, I had a really, I basically was
Yeah, tough
in
time probably trying to find yourself and your purpose. And also, you know, when you're in those places, often that is when you need your psychic abilities the most, isn't it, to help guide you and help navigate where you're going. And yeah, it can be really difficult for teenagers, particularly in the last year. But did you, when that was all going on, Joseph, were your mum and dad aware how much you were struggling? And were you able to kind of, if there's anyone else watching this, then is there any advice you could offer?
Yeah, I was brought up in a family. It's nothing bad really happened. My parents were so good to me, but they were so loving and caring, too much, that I felt like when I was getting older, I just wanted to break away from that. So that was my thing. It was like I was going through these issues with trying to rebel against everything. So I was trying to keep everything to myself. But that was at that time probably the worst thing I could have done. So if you're ever feeling like these dark thoughts and that there's no hope in the world, because I honestly was down that path for a long time, and the thing that changed it was whenever I just spoke out and said I feel how I feel, because then that's when because it's emotions, you're trapping emotions, and when you trap emotions you become ill, and your mind becomes ill, your body gets ill, and everything just starts to kind of feel like nothing's worth anything anymore. And the minute you speak out, you transmute that energy already by just saying something,
Yeah.
by releasing it. So I learned that. And yeah, that I think that was after the whole near-death experience. I changed as a person. I can't hold anything in anymore. I have to speak my truth.
Yeah.
It's probably a bad thing now because like I do it all the time and I'm triggering people all left, right, and center, but I'm helping them at the same time because I see past the bullshit that they have hanging over them, that they don't like. They want to keep it there. They want to keep the little hood up so that they don't have to
Yeah.
like go past that. But yeah, and then I went to New York. I lived in New York for a while. And then I moved to London, and I was in a relationship that really tested me. It was probably the only I was the only proper relationship I was in, but
Yeah.
I had codependency issues to go through with that, and I got through all of that. And now I'm here and I feel like I've mastered life because I had every challenge that I needed in my toolkit to be able
Yeah.
to do the work that I'm doing today. So I'm grateful and I forgive everyone and everything that's happened to me because I know that God has put everything in place for me to be able to help everyone else. So that's, and I use tarot cards, but I'm also more or less using them because I like them. I don't necessarily use a lot of tarot cards. I'll use like a 3 or 4 because I like to just channel through myself. And
Yeah. Yeah.
tarot
No,
cards can be a little.
I think with my session that you did for me, Joseph and I, he gifted me a session after the work that I'd done with him, and it was incredible, so different to how I read cards. But you channeled most of the information. He was listening to my guides, listening to his guides, and when he felt the time was necessary to take a card, um, he did, and it was more about deepening the message that he was already receiving or to confirm something. So it was really actually quite a cool session. I really enjoyed it, got a lot out of it, and he was bang on with the stuff that he was saying. We were laughing so much, weren't we? Like,
When I
oh my
seen
God.
that little when I seen the Fae lady, and then you send me a picture and you're basically dressed like that lady, I was like,
Yeah,
I was like,
yeah.
that was weird.
Yeah. And I think you were saying as well about the energy of Bridget, and that was really amazing because a couple of really close friends of mine who are also homeopaths, that's a remedy that they've created and have been working with for the past while, and they also spend a lot of time transmitting that to their clients and also to other healers. So that was really interesting that that came up too, because I've been part of that kind of that transmission that they've done in the last probably 18 months. So it's really nice, and because she's an Irish goddess and such a you know, she's a patron saint of Ireland as well. Her energy is incredible. Your story actually, so you went to London quite young, did you?
I was there for 5 years. I'm very bad with dates and times when I was places. My
Yeah,
life
and
is
then
just
and that kind of went, you know, a bit belly up, so you came home to Ireland and had your kind of
yeah. And
psychic abilities really kicked in at that stage.
so when I moved to London, that was another point of massive breakthrough for me again because I actually started my crown chakra was very open, but not in a good way because I didn't know it was open as much as it was. So I had a lot of spirits coming to me. Literally, there was one night I was walking home from work, and on the streets of London, this woman came up to me and she was crying, and she sat down, and I was like really worried about her. And this man had walked up. It wasn't busy. There wasn't a lot of people around. It was a part of London that was like it was late at night too. So But this man came up and I asked basically for his help to help this woman because I couldn't find out her name or anything. And he was looking at me like I was crazy. And I was like thinking, what is wrong with him? He's like, he shouted back something like, there's nobody there. What are you talking about or something? And I was like, that was the first part of it. And then
Wow.
yeah, and then after that, I used to work in an ice cream and waffles, and I was a manager there. It was like ice creams and waffles and stuff. And I was downstairs at nighttime just locking up, and in the office was this older woman, and she said, at the time I was living with a girl, and she said that me and that girl are going to be okay. We were kind of struggling financially. And I went home and I told my friend because she kind of knew I was going through these kind of weird things. And I told her and I was crying and I was like, I can't. And I explained the woman that I seen to her. And then she had shown me a picture on her phone and it was her grandmother. And I freaked out. I was
Wow.
like,
Oh, I just get
yeah,
the full tingle. Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, so
And
the woman in the
the
office wasn't actually physically there. It was like a wow. Yeah. Yeah.
oh, I just want to clarify if you do start seeing things like that, that it is not that it's not normal, but you shouldn't have spirits come through that strongly. Um, you they should have there should be boundaries. They should be coming in with a feeling, or you have to feel comfortable. And that was the lesson that I had to learn with that. And I actually closed the minute I seen that picture that she showed me, I closed it was like an instant, I closed everything off again and went into just a kind of a hermit mode, but not a
Okay.
good hermit mode. And then I got into the relationship, and then the relationship broke me back out again. And I opened up a lot more, and now I feel like I'm open in a really good way now, where it's balanced with myself and my higher self. And I just, I don't do everything that I think that my higher self wants me to do. Sometimes I'm like, not today. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, this is the thing with um thinking that there's things outside of you. You have to know what you want and your own truth at all times. And sometimes you might think you're getting a message through from your higher self when it might actually be to do with in a month's time, or it's something to do with the past. So you have to just really know your own emotions, know your how to discern, and
Yeah.
discernment comes through lessons, to be honest.
Amazing. So when you're having when you're receiving your messages and there's all the different kind of clairs, have you got that ability? Do you hear things and do you see things and sense things and smell things? How does it express for you when you're receiving your psychic
So
wisdom?
I don't really have a system of how it works,
Mm,
because I literally just set the intention in my mind, and the first thing that'll come to me, I'll go with that. So I
mm,
could close my eyes and I'll see a candle, and then I'll think on the fire element, and then I'll think, okay, we're trying to transmute something here that needs to be gone, and that's no
mm,
longer serving you. And then I'll go into that, and then I might get a vision or a smell, and then I
mm.
will. It's all at once though. It's
Yeah,
like a whole jumbled up feeling of everything of the clairs, kind of, and that comes through experience of just trying out one at a time. So if you ever feel that you're psychic, you just need to kind of start with one thing. Um like for fun, me and my friend, we used to blindfold ourselves and we used to hold tarot cards and visualize what we think is on the card, and we were very
mm, yeah,
yeah.
yeah. We used to do stuff like that as well, or like sit in front of each other and look into each other's eyes and think of like a country or an animal or any kind of thing that came to mind and see if you could guess what the other person was thinking. And
Those little exercises,
yeah,
is what gets you to trust yourself, because you're really just tapping into the inner child with this work, because when you're a child you are psychic. You just kind of forget that you were.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah. It's stronger in some children as well, and I think in Ireland it's amazing because there's such an incredible history of that here, and the folklore and everything. And I've actually a few clients at the moment, and their children are really tapped into what's going on, and they've said about how they've prophesied stuff to them and it's happened in the last year. And it's interesting things going on, because a lot of the children that have been born in the last 20 years are, you know, indigo kids and crystal kids. And you're like 28 now, aren't you?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I mean, even your probably age group as well, it's all, there's been such a shift in the last kind of few years for this. Everything's lining up to help us with what's going on at the moment, and the change in the earth's frequency, and you're really sensitive to that. And I think that's something me and you both had in common, was our love of the Fae. And like where you are in Ireland is really, you've got such a strong connection to your land there, and it's something that we've spoken about, and actually you've spoken about too with JCK. So should we talk a bit about that, because it's so relevant to where we are, and especially where I'm from in New Zealand, the Māori people have so many myths and legends around what they call the Patupai Rehe, which are the fairy people. And I just used to love those stories so much as a child. I really connected to them. I lived near a really big mountain, and spent all my time up the mountain, in the woods, in the forest, by the rivers, and just all the myths and legends that I grew up learning about were enchanting to me, and I kind of carried all that through my life, and kept that magic alive. So, you know, when you kind of brought it up and started to talk about it as in depth as you did, it really just resonated with me so strongly, because they don't teach it much here in schools, you know, the kind of the Tuatha De Danann and all the history and the magic of this country. I've taught my children about that through through stories and books and CDs and stuff. So it would be great to hear your kind of experiences around that, Joseph, because some of them have been so magical and have really helped you kind of come into yourself, and I guess give you the confidence to really walk your path.
Mm-hmm. Anyone that offers to talk asks me to talk about the Fae, I'm like, yes.
No, me too.
Because,
I love them.
yeah, from a very young age, I could actually just see the Fae. They were always around me. They were teaching me things. I used to have an old woman with black hair, and she was just so loving and caring, and she would come up and she would explain the elementals, because she would hand me like a flower, and I would hold that flower. Now, a lot of this sounds very like way out there, but sometimes sometimes I could feel like I could see her, but because I was a child that was living in a different dimension half of the time, it's hard for me to know, was I actually seeing her, or you know what I mean? So that
of course.
it was because I didn't know anything else. Like, why wouldn't I be able to see her? But now when I think back, it's really hard to fully know what was really going on, because I would hold a flower, and
you don't have that comprehension as a child anyway. You know, a lot of people will say that they could see their dead relatives, or they could see different kind of dimensions or realms or spirits or fairies or anything like that. And I think for a lot of children, they assume that everybody has that ability, and it's not until you get older that you know, a lot of the time, or you mention it, it's like, no, there's not actually, that no one else can see it or feel it. that's when it starts to get, those abilities start to get kind of squashed down and I guess cut off for us, you know. But
yeah,
and even in other cultures, you know, if we were in South America, for example, then they have such a huge history around knowing that this stuff actually does exist. And even here in Ireland, where does the leprechaun come from? You know, there's so much.
I used to see not leprechauns, but little men, and they. I used to always think that I was Snow White as a child. Because there would be about 7 or 8 of them, and I would just think, and I would have names, Sleepy, and I would call them these names and everything. And yeah, with like flowers and stuff, I would hold flowers and I would see a face in the flower, and it would just my mind was very, very tapped into all of that. And it's only really been in recent years, and especially 2020, when I came back home and I fully started to connect back into the Irish land soil again. And I now know that partly I'm still tapping into, because I am very connected to a past life, current life, I don't know, a life that I have in the Fae world, dimension or whatever.
Yeah.
And I was a very important person, let's just say, and me kind of had a little bit of let's call it a bump in the road, and I'm kind of here now to kind of help smooth that bump out and fix it again, because I got roped into kind of lowering my vibration to I feel like that's part of why I am here now, to be service to others, is to kind of do my karma or whatever you want to call it. But it's not, doesn't feel like that to me, because it feels like I'm getting this opportunity to share the love and spread this throughout Ireland. I think moving 20, 30 years into the future, I'm going to be all around Ireland doing as much as I can to help bring everyone back into connection with the Fae and all of the magic that has been lost here for so long. Because I know in my heart that everyone here in Ireland just needs a little, and bam, it's going to go eventually. Because when you talk about the Fae and the fairies to people in Ireland, even though most people are very closed off to things and they're not very spiritual here, so not everyone obviously, but there's a lot, you know, in your local town, they just go about their day and they're just, you know, hello Mary, hello Patrick, and they're just like whatever. But they still have this belief that the Fae and the fairies exist because they know it in their soul. And it's like they just need someone to kind of come out and do something or say something. And I think that that's why during this awakening, the Fae is starting to come up a lot more. And I feel that that's all for a very divine reason, is because this is part of it. We lost that magic.
Yeah, it's allowing those doors of perception to kind of reopen again. And I think, you know, I guess from a kind of a physiological perspective, because they still put fluoride in the water here in Ireland, it's had a really negative effect on people's ability to have that perception. Because I'm sure most of you know this, but fluoride actually calcifies your pineal gland. And your pineal gland is a little gland inside your head shaped like a pine cone, and it's why it's called pineal. And it's what gives you the ability to perceive all these other kind of realms and entities and dimensions. But it also works your intuition. And the work that Joseph and I have been doing with you've got a chakra here right at the back of your head, where your brain stem turns into your spinal cord, and there's a chakra there called the major altar, and it's also known as the mouth of the goddess. And this chakra is often closed on a lot of people, but it gives you the ability, and I would work on this with all my clients when they come in for Reiki and massage, and often homeopathy as well. You can reopen that chakra or energy center, and it gives you such a huge kind of surge of energy, which Joseph messaged me straight away about when he took the frequency for it that I created. And it also helps you to tap into your past lives and access your Akashic records, and also to clear any attachments that you might have brought through from those lives into this lives. So I think for a lot of Irish people, you're right, they have that sense and that inner knowing in their soul that these energetic beings exist, but they've kind of been closed. It's been, it's been kind of a work in progress, I guess, from the establishment to shut all those abilities down. And I think I was talking about this with the trees as well. When the English invaded Ireland, they knew the best way to kind of get them all to submit and to them to be able to take over this land was to cut all the trees down, because the Irish people were people of the trees, and they culturally had so much connection, and their wisdom and everything about the trees in Ireland then was so pertinent to the culture and the life here. And they provided absolutely everything that the people of the land needed, and by chopping them all down, the Irish lost a lot of the energy that they got from the trees, and a lot of the wisdom and the insight as well. And God, that's a whole nother tangent.
That actually, though, leads into something that I've experienced recently with the trees. Is I have my own tree that I like, one main one that I like to kind of sit and just talk with.
Yeah.
And he had basically said that right now I need to stop focusing so much into the future and so much into what's happening, because I need to be ready for that community-based world that I know is coming. And how do I do that? I prepare now. And that group of trees said, look how we are here with each other, and how we there's like trees, a bunch of forest over there, and there's a forest here, but they're not. Ireland used to be covered in trees.
Yeah, that's why it was called the Emerald Isle, because it was so green with trees.
Yes, and I just got off. I was doing a call with another girl, and she had the same kind of experience or vision about, I see in the future, I see that we're going to be living and building in harmony with the trees. It's like, can't fully explain my vision that I got, but it was above. It almost felt like it was working with some kind of technology that kind of kept us above the trees. I don't know how to explain it, but I said to her, the girl that I was talking to, it was like, there's this fake tree, just one fake tree, and it's like an elevator that just takes you up, and there's like, it's connects everything. And I don't know now, because I didn't know where that was, and now I'm thinking, of course this could be maybe something in the future that Ireland is going to do. Have these communities that are like in forests and in harmony, because when I'm in that place, I can walk and go on land and like get all of the food and everything. And it sounds very like we're going backwards in time, but the whole feeling of it was complete harmony with nature and technology as well. It was like a very nice balance with understanding how to look after the planet by using technology in a good,
that would be
harmonious
amazing.
way.
I think that's what our kind of community all want, isn't it? That we can live in harmony with nature and with each other, and also utilizing the technology for our greatest good, as opposed to like bioweapons or suppressing our energetic abilities, and using it for so many amazing healing practices as well. You know, there's some incredible hopefully technology coming out, like the med beds, and so many people haven't even heard of those. But you know, if that technology is out there and it's going to be released, then the potential for people to recover and heal from serious chronic illnesses, and even for them to be diagnosed, is going to be revolutionary. It kind of sounds like a treetop, you know, I don't know, like, have you been to any of the zip line parks in Ireland? There's one in Boyle called Lochie Forest Park, and you get to climb the trees there and go on the zip lines, and like, it is incredible because you're right in amongst all the trees. It's just such a buzz. And because there's so little forest, I'm on the west of Ireland here, there's hardly any forest, guys, on this part of the planet. Like, that was the first thing I noticed when I moved here. I was like, where's all the trees? Why has everyone got concrete gardens and like no trees? It has improved in the last few years, but I mean, where I'm from in New Zealand, it's just national parks and forestry, and you know, there's trees everywhere. Yeah, it's definitely something to get add on to your bucket list, is to plant more trees and start to cultivate, you know, your own garden. And Joseph, the trees that you have in your garden, are they like, have they been there for a long time, planted by your family, or were they on the land already? And what are they?
So they were planted by my grandfather, and he actually, well, the tree told me this. He actually told the trees that he was planting, he must have set the intention in his mind to just protect us as a family. And that's what the tree told me. And that's why as a child I always felt very secure and safe whenever I actually built my own little like clubhouse as a child by the tree, down by the trees, and because I felt very safe amongst them when I was surrounded by them. Yeah.
I know, like in the UK and stuff, there was a lot of people in the past, a lot of trees were planted, yew trees in particular, planted in the north to kind of ward off the evil spirits and to protect them from the energies of the north. Do you know what direction your trees are in on your land? Did your grandfather have an understanding of that, do you think?
I wouldn't say so, because no, they're not planted. They're actually diagonal to where you should like probably plant them, because they run like this way on the house, and north would be that way. So actually they are planted north. Wait, oh my God, wait, they are.
You have to go and look where's the sun setting, and then work it out. And what did he plant? Do you know what they are? Are they evergreens, or?
They are the typical like big massive pine trees.
Oh, are they cedar?
Yes.
Or Scots pine, maybe.
Oh, no, sorry. The cedar is the one that's kind of shaped like this, isn't it? With
yeah, they grow differently.
They kind of. It's the ones that are quite. I think it's like the Christmas tree, but they all look like Christmas trees.
No, it must be a Scots pine then. It's probably a Scots pine, because they're very sturdy trees, and on the land where you are in Ireland, it's quite exposed, and the weather is is
very
changeable.
Windy,
yeah. So you'll have to send me a photo, and then I'll be able to tell you what they are. But they sound like Scots pine. But I guess
I have a terrible memory with like trees and names, and like I'm so weird. Like I just connect to the spirit of the plants. Like I
Yeah.
don't know how to explain it. I kind of do everything backwards. I like to just play around with plants before I even know what they really do, which could be bad if I move around and travel and pick up a poisonous plant or something.
Watch out for the mushrooms.
the
That
the other
sounds like
day,
you're, that's very shamanic of you to those qualities are like, very shamanistic of you to be drawn to a certain plant, often as a revelation to you that you need that medicine.
Mhm.
And I guess time's gone by, all
Well,
that lore was known. I think,
it's funny that you say that because the recently, there's these they're like weeds or like a bush with the yellow flowers on them. They're all
yeah,
over Ireland.
dandelion,
No, it's like
dandelion,
it's a spiky
gorse,
tree with these.
gorse. Oh, gorse.
Yes,
Yes, you can
yeah.
eat those flowers.
Um,
Did you realize, guys, you can eat those flowers on the gorse tree? Yeah,
I
they're
did
nice.
that.
They're kind of, I don't know, I felt like they had almost like a cucumbery.
They smell so good though, and I went up and I was like to the tree. I was like, can I try that? and the tree, and the tree was like, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
It was this weird experience of me like I felt really guided, like I wanted to do it. And I actually made a little tea out of it, and I
Oh,
enjoyed it, and
great.
got to kind of just experience it. But yeah, you can eat those flowers as well, and they actually I
Yeah.
like them.
Yeah, yeah. And actually, that would be one of the 36 bark flower remedies. And gorse, when it's used as a bark flower remedy, is really good for helping people to process grief. So
Ah,
it's amazing in that sense that you were drawn to it because of the transition that you've gone through lately. So it's almost allowing, there's been a part of you that you've let go to allow this new part to emerge. So there's always a kind of a grieving process in that transitional phase. And it doesn't just have to be a grieving process of, losing somebody. That can be translated to loads of different requirements. So yeah, that's
you see
what
that?
that's one of the things it's used for if I'd prescribe it to somebody, and it's really amazing. Oh,
Sorry, there's a wee bit of a delay, Jenny. I'm sorry.
I
It's not
see
that I'm
that
speaking
my
over
my,
you.
my kids are probably all home from school and they've hijacked the internet connection, but I
So,
think
what I was gonna.
oh yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, Jenny. Yeah. So, what I was gonna say is, it's funny how I'm guided in that way to do things because,
Yeah,
like I said, I do everything backwards, and then find out later on why I was doing it, and you
yeah.
just clarify. But that's kind of the way I do things. I do everything just intuitively because I feel like a child sometimes when I'm doing things. I don't know
Mm,
why I'm doing them or for what reason, but then afterwards, there's always someone to confirm things for me like this, and it makes
mm.
sense.
Yeah,
And
amazing.
that color, I was drawn to the color, the yellow, because the yellow bringing joy and just a little bit of happiness, and
Mm.
yeah. So
Yeah, yeah, they're really, really, honestly, they're so important here in Ireland because when the bees are coming out of winter here, it's one of the first sources of food that they look for is the gorse flower. So, it's an incredibly important food source for the bees. So, yeah, I love gorse. I love it. It's like, I think for me here in Ireland, because it's known as a weed in New Zealand, and if you have it on your property in New Zealand, if the farms are full of it, then the government, I think, pays you to destroy it, to get rid of it, because it's not a native plant in New Zealand. Um, so
oh,
is kind of always looked at as a, you know, as a weed there, but here it's embraced because of all its kind of medicinal qualities, and also because of the fact that it's one of the first sources of food for the bees when they're coming out of winter. I think we should talk a little bit about, just before we kind of sign off, Joseph and I really wanted to have this chat with each other today, just to talk a little about the fairies and the land, and both of our connections to nature, and how strong we both feel about looking after the land and being custodians of the planet, and making sure that in these times that we're living in, that we're doing the work to help, I guess, that transcendence that's happening and that ascension process that's going on. And for me, in my life, I've done loads of work around the planet on my travels, and buried crystals in all kinds of countries and all various kinds of places, and formed a grid. And part of what we're going to do this weekend is journey to a sacred site, and we've got a load of crystals, and you know, we're going on this amazing adventure with Joseph. It's his birthday weekend this weekend, so we're celebrating that. And Mark Atwood is coming with us, and JCK and Joanne Dunn are going to be tapping in from Scotland and from Australia, to really kind of hold space and contribute to the healing that we're going to do. So we're heading off to this amazing sacred site, and we're going to be putting in a crystal grid. And Joanne has actually sent 6 orgonite discs over from Scotland to add to the grid, and we're going to have a really amazing ceremony while we're up there to connect in with the Earth's energy, and to actually activate this sacred site's frequency again, so that the energy and island can start to be reawakened. And I think it's just so awesome. I was guided in a meditation to do this work, and Joseph was one of the first people that actually I received to connect with, to come to the sacred site and do the work, as well as Mark. And it's all just happened so organically, and everything has just come together so amazingly, hasn't it, Joseph?
Mm-hmm.
And you're really stepping into your role. I guess this weekend is going to be so empowering for you, because you're going to chant for us, and it's just something new that's happening for you at the moment, isn't it? Really finding your voice and connecting in with the music of the land. Do you want to talk a little bit about that? Because I think everybody's probably really keen to understand what you know, finding your voice. And
so this has happened to me recently, when I just started to feel like, by me just humming, that I can kind of get into alignment with just the land. And I just started to do humming, and then all of a sudden this language started coming out, and we all have access to our own soul's language. Some people will call it light language, and they might feel like it's coming from a higher chakra, whereas this language for me feels like it's coming from the base of my soul, which is coming from the inner earth energy, or there's something from down there, is what I feel where this comes from. And as I started to do it more and more, I realized that it was a very deep, and almost like it's releasing stuff from the past, and that's what it felt like for me. And I go to certain places that I'm guided to sing and do it, and I've only really recently done it for just to get familiar with my own soul's kind of purpose with it all. And I recently had another psychic friend of mine, talk about it a little bit deeper with me, and I realized that what this song is doing, it's kind of healing the land, and also the souls that came here and cut down the trees and basically invaded when they shouldn't have, disrespected the land in such a way, and kind of helping that energy that was stuck there, that kind of got trapped, it's like a piece of nerves or a trapped nerve in the body. It's like the song kind of, what my friend said, it kind of releases that energy so that we can kind of move on from that and move past it. So
because the land holds a lot of the trauma that's happened from past occurrences, most definitely. And I do a lot of land clearings for people remotely, and I think it's so important that we do this work in this time. I can't wait to hear your singing. I think it's going to be so powerful. It's just going to be such a great weekend, and I hope everybody, I know because there's a lot of gatherings going on Saturday, and for me, the reason that I think I was received to do the messages is that it's Beltane, and it's a festival of the fires. So it's the start of the kind of the summer and the Celtic cycle. And so we are going to do a fire ceremony on the day, and Joseph's going to sing. So as we're working on the land, this is what we'll be doing, guys. We're clearing all that old energy and allowing all the new energy to come through and rise again from the land and reclaim its rightful kind of I guess it's rightful sovereignty, just to give the land back that energy and give something back. And hopefully it's going to have a really, really releasing effect at the same time as having an incredible shift in the consciousness in the area and for the rest of Ireland, because we're really wishing people here to kind of rise up against everything that's going on, and I think we're doing everything we can to make sure that happens.
And something I would like to say to people is, you can do things like this just yourself with the land. Like a simple little thing that I had done recently, well, I've done it a few times to be honest, is I go to a river and I cleanse my own aura with the help of the land and the water. But you can also, if you know where that river goes through, to send as well positive energy and wishes towards the people that will come in contact with that water, or who will be near that water, because that's kind of the magnetic energy kind of will just go to the right people that need it. And it will, it could be that you send that energy down and then it reaches someone who's sitting at the end of the lake or at the river or whatever, and they have this little aha moment or this feeling of joy because you sent that energy on. And that's
amazing.
These little things that we just do are then rewarded. But it's not that you're doing it to get rewarded, but that's just when you start doing this work, you feel guided to do these things because magic starts happening then after.
Yeah, it's because we're working with really, really deep intentions, and when you come together with people who are also on the same frequency as you with those intentions, then it's actually really, really powerful, and these amazing things happen and shifts. And some people will call it coincidences, but it's not. It's for me, it's really everything is coming into alignment, and you will get, like Joseph said, all these little signs to tell you, to guide you and to make you have a deeper understanding of your own abilities as a healer, which is really, it's in all of us, and it's time that we all tapped into that as a source of energy. And also, I think Joseph, as well, just on that note about sending out the vibrations through the water, a really simple thing to do as well is just to walk your land and just to be very present when you're on your land, and just to feel if there's any kind of, if you're walking it and you feel uneasy in any area, or you feel like you need to plant a tree somewhere for a particular reason, or maybe you need to crystal grid the land yourself. A really easy way to start with that process is by taking crystals and burying them in the north, east, south, and the west. And you grid the land, and then you have a crystal in the center of the house. And that then forms the grid around the house. And whether that's for protection or re-energizing the property, it's your intention that's activating the grid. And that's a really simple process and a really simple kind of rundown on it. But that's kind of how you start the ball in motion to do these things. And even saging, you know, walking around the property, smudging as you go, and just announcing that you're clearing the energy on the land. And you know, that has a huge impact as well on what you're doing, because you're working with intention again. So I can't wait for this Saturday. It's going to be awesome. So excited.
I just wanted to say quickly, because a little confirmation I've had just recently. I didn't actually share it. I waited probably now just for the right moment. But so I changed my name from Joseph Moon to Joseph Monroe because recently I had a star speak to me and say, "Hello, Joseph Monroe." And I was like, okay, what is this? And I had an astrologer say that star is in my chart. And then there's another star that's called the end of the river. And that's the Monroe name is the mouth of the river. And you just told me that altar is the mouth of the goddess. So all of that came full circle. And it's like this new little like transition of changing my name has been a very divine thing, because it's like spirits, the stars, the earth, everything is talking through me. And I mentioned about mapacho, which I'm taking these incense. They're very sacred. Someone gifted them to me. These are mapacho or tobacco incense, and they are for outside. So I'll be taking these. They're too potent for inside. So I'll be taking these with us, and I'm
using them to also clear. Yeah, because the smoke helps the positive and negative ions to, like, you re-ionize the space then, because if there's too many weirdly positive ions, then the smoke will help to clear those. That's a really ancient practice in so many different cultures, from the Aboriginals to the tribal people of South America. You know, even to the tribes in Mongolia, they use smoke all the time to clear your energy fields, to clear the land, and to help evoke this new energy to kind of come through.
And I wanted to show, because Mapacho said to me, "Look at the symbol on the box," and I didn't know what that meant. And I was like, he just showed me a box and he said, "Look at the symbol," and I couldn't see the symbol. And recently on this there's like a circle with all of these little dots.
And I think that's awesome.
I think that's the amount of he wants me to use. He wants me to use that amount of incense on the day.
Wow.
And as if we start in the center and then we walk out and put the incenses in the ground the whole way around.
We go. Oh, yes. So we're kind of be gridding up the area with the incense as well.
And lastly, I just want to share this, Jenny, because I feel like this was really meant for you to hear. The other night I did my usual, I blow the tobacco up my nose, and I was sitting with the medicine, and it was really, really intense. And it's usually like not as uncomfortable because I'm used to it. But this time it was really, really intense. And I sat and I feel his energy, and he just kind of sits with me on the bed. And he likes the darkness, and he doesn't like too much. He likes, if there's music, it has to be very subtle and low, because he likes just darkness and silence. And I was sitting there and I had to go, I was like, I can't, I have to breathe. And the burning sensation, and it wasn't that it was painful, but it was just very uncomfortable, and I felt like I couldn't breathe because when you blow it up your nose, you have to breathe through your mouth anyway. But I was trying to like meditate, and he basically started to speak very loudly to me, saying that pain is necessary for us to realize that we forgot how to breathe. Pain is necessary. And he listed all of these things. And it was so like a proper chant, because it's kind of like that, the music that the song that comes through me is kind of his song as well. I like to say it comes from that energy of Mapacho. But as well, his intention is very like very wise and very like straight to the point. And after that, I was kind of then in a meditative state. And I was like, okay, things are going to get better. So I'm sitting there, and I open up and I can hear the collective that is in fear. So I can hear that part of the collective that is in fear, and I'm just listening to it. And he showed me with my eyes closed. When your eyes are closed, you can still see bits of light moving through. He was like, there can never just be darkness, but you are here to help transmute all of that fear that is unnecessary now. And I could hear Janie. It was like screaming, and it was like people's anxiety, and it was fear, and it was really intense. And I sat there, and I actually felt fear myself come up for me. And I felt so out of, it was like my body went into my heart, and I could feel like I was way outside of my body. And it felt so amazing, so out of body experience, but at the same time so scary, because I was feeling the fear of everyone else. And I was like, this is what I think we're going to do. And when he said to me, do you want to take it to the next step? I was like, no, I'm fine.
What?
And I think and I think now I understand the next step is that we're actually going to, do the intention by going to this place on Saturday. And it all just fits together now why that experience the other night was happening, because with your help and with Mark's help and with JC and Joanne and everyone, we're kind of helping everyone get rid of this unnecessary illusion of this fear that we have. And I'm so honored and excited to do this.
I know it's going to be amazing. It's just something that I guess I was guided to do, and it's just all about divine timing at the moment. And I feel like there's just been such a shift already this week, that there's been a real change in the kind of atmosphere. And I guess in Ireland, when this happens, it's always the sun. So we're going to work with that energy, and really that's the fire, isn't it? The kind of primordial fire that we all, I'm totally solar powered. I've always said that. I'm fully solar powered. All those years that I traveled was just the sun, chasing the sun the whole time, worshipping the sun. I think I laid on more beaches in my 20s than most people. But
it's funny. You said because I just looked up and you literally spoke as I said it. So I looked up, the sun leaves the alignment of the Cetus space in the sky. And I've been learning about the sky astrology, and the Cetus space is where I was born under. My sun is in that Cetus space, and it's leaving alignment today. And this is like the birth, this is the dragon space. So it's like moving into the, and when we're doing we're going to do the ceremony, and the day after that is when the moon goes into Capricorn on the following day, which is all
really
about
earthy
releasing
energy,
these restrictions.
really earthy.
Yeah, and I feel like this is going to be a very, very important thing that we're doing, honestly, for everyone, that we will not even really know until weeks later how that all affected everything, I think.
Yeah. And so that's why we I guess we're working with such incredible people to do it, so that we can have this understanding of what's happened afterwards as well, and how the work has affected things on an energetic level and a metaphysical level, and also just it's something that we're all guided to do, and our each of us on an individual level here is a role of service to humanity. So I guess it's a way for us to give something back as well. And yeah, we'll let you guys all know how we go, and I'll definitely put some video footage up and some photos like on my Instagram and Facebook page, and of course I'm sure Joseph will do the same. But how can people connect with you, Joseph? Are you back doing your readings? Because I know you took some time out for a while. Are you back doing readings now, or?
So I had people emailing me, so I'm not back doing readings yet because there's kind of a waiting list now at the minute, but I am sharing a lot of information of how you can get in contact with other people. I'm kind of introducing everyone to other healers, other psychics and stuff, because that's what it's all about.
Yeah.
But I will be doing private readings in the future. And for the time being, I have a channel. It's Joseph Monroe. I think people will be able to see
I'll
that.
connect
That's
it. Yeah,
the
no, I
name.
put all your details into the description box anyway when I put this up on YouTube, and then people can just reach out to you from there.
Perfect.
But
Yeah.
yeah, Joseph has got some
And
really awesome videos, guys, up, and they're so insightful and helpful, and he posts quite regularly, so go and check him out.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Jenny, for having me.
Thanks very much. Amazing. Okay, everybody.
I'm looking forward to Saturday.
I know. So great to chat to you, and thanks everybody, and have a really amazing day wherever you are. Bye.